You served, as you reminded us, a long time as a governor, Republican governor of Arkansas. Your old job is now in Democratic hands. Here in New Hampshire, the GOP has suffered some significant losses as well, and the Republicans lost the majority in the House and the Senate, as you well know. Simple question, what's happened to the GOP?
Lost credibility because we didn't do what we were hired to do. When you're elected, you're hired to do a job. You're hired to cut spending, lower taxes, bring more government back to the local people. We did the polar opposite. And the people fired us. And I think in many ways, there were some good people that got caught up in the tsunami of the 2006 elections. The Republican Party as a whole deserved to get beat. We've lost credibility. The way we bungled Katrina, the fact that there was corruption that was unchecked in Washington, and the fact that there was a feeling that there was not a proper handling of the Iraqi war in all of these details, and the indifference to people pouring over our borders. And let me just add this, Wolf. There are a lot of people for whom the immigration issue is like a lot of. They see Washington not taking the kind of positions to build a fence, and they know that when they go to the airport to get on an airplane, they have to show photo ID, they have to go through layers of security, and they don't understand why someone coming across an international border doesn't have to do the same thing.
Thank you, Governor. Congressman Hunter, I want to just speak because he raised the issue. He raised the issue of corruption. Do you think it would be appropriate for President Bush to pardon Louis Scooter Libby, who was sentenced today to 30 months in prison for his role in the CIA leak case?
You know, I think, Wolf, to make a determination on that, you'd have to look at the transcript. I'll tell you a couple transcripts I have looked at, and that's the agents Campion and Ramos, who are given 11 and 12 years respectively for stopping a drug dealer bringing 750 pounds of drugs across the border. I've looked at their transcript. I would pardon Campion and Ramos right now. And let me say with respect to what Mike said, we got to bring back the Reagan Democrats to this party, because we need the Reagan Democrats for Republican leadership to work, and we're going to have to get a good trade bill that brings jobs back to this country. We're going to have to stop China from cheating on trade, build the middle class, build jobs, right. Wolf. That's what strengthens the Republican Party.
I just want to do a quick yes or no, and I'm going to go down the rest of the group and let everybody just tell me yes or no. Would you pardon Scooter Libby?
No. No, I'm steeped in the law. I wouldn't do that.
No, not without reading the transcript.
Not without reading the transcript.
He's going through an appeal process. We've got to see what happens here.
I think the sentence was way out of line. I mean, the sentence was grossly excessive in a situation in which, at the beginning, the prosecutor knew who the leak was.
So yes or no, would you pardon
him? And he knew a crime wasn't committed. I recommended over 1,000 pardons to President Reagan when I was Associate Attorney General. I would see if it fit the criteria for pardon. I'd wait for the appeal. I think what the judge did today argues more in favor of a pardon because this is excessive punishment.
All right.
When you consider, I've prosecuted 5,000 cases.
Trying to get a yes or
here.
no.
Well, this is a very important issue. This is a very, very important. A man's life is at stake. And the reality is, this is an incomprehensible situation. They knew who the leak was, and ultimately, there was no underlying crime involved.
This is one of those situations where I go back to my record as governor. I didn't pardon anybody as governor because I didn't want to overturn a jury. But in this case, you have a prosecutor who clearly abused prosecutorial discretion by going after somebody when he already knew that the source of the leak was Richard Armitage. He'd been told that, so he wanted a political vendetta.
So is that a yes?
It's worth looking at that. I will study it very closely if I'm lucky enough to be president, and I'd keep that option open.
Senator?
Yes. The basic crime here didn't happen. What they were saying was that the identity of an agent was revealed, but that agent has to be in the field for that to be a crime. That didn't occur.
Bill Clinton committed perjury in a grand jury, lost his law license. Scooter Libby got 30 months. To me, it's not fair at all. But I would make sure the appeal was done properly, and then I would examine the record.
Congressman?
Yes.
Yes, all right. We heard from all of them. We're ready to go into part two of tonight's debate right now, where voters from New Hampshire will have an opportunity to ask their questions. We have some work to do here on the stage. While we move some chairs around, move out the podiums, while we do all that, and you'll be able to see it, viewers of WMUR are going to go back to their studios. For the rest of you, I'm going to bring in my colleagues, Larry King and Anderson Cooper, part of the best political team on television, to give us a sense of this debate so far. Our debate here will resume in about 3 minutes. Larry?
Thank you, Wolf. We're at, they call it halftime, but it's probably 12 minutes over halftime. We're here on this split break to get the comments of our reporters in the field. Anderson, what do you think so far?
It's been an interesting evening, no doubt about it. I'm particularly interested to see what happens in this next hour ahead. This is where the audience is going to have the chance to ask questions. It's where we saw some of the most dramatic debate. Joe Biden speaking very forcefully about Darfur. We'll see what happens with this crowd. This is a crowd which is certainly following very closely. We've heard a lot of applause, Larry, throughout this evening. Probably not we haven't seen the elbows flying that some had anticipated, particularly on the immigration issue. We'll see what happens in the next hour.
Got a little sprightly at the end, though.
It certainly did, yeah.
Let's check in with Candy Crowley, part of this best political team in broadcasting. Candy, what surprised you?
I think what surprised me is that it has been a pretty mellow debate in terms of how they are reacting to one another. Mitt Romney had a chance to hit back at John McCain for something McCain said yesterday about Romney and his position on immigration, and said, no, we're friends. I'm not going to make this personal. I thought beyond that, it was an interesting defense from John McCain. I thought he made a pretty strong defense